Frank DiTommaso, and I'm really excited today to have my coach from Ocala, Florida, the Villages, Glenn Stein.
Yes. Thank you, brother. Let's
Good
go.
to see you,
Let's
brother.
go. Yes.
Glad you made the trip up here. So this is the first time you've been to Staten Island in how long?
40 years.
Right. And the funny thing is, I ask you that question because I know you're originally from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Most people that know you think you're from Florida, but I know you're originally from
Lost
Brooklyn.
my accent.
You did. You
lost
did.
my accent,
You
yeah.
definitely don't sound like a Brooklynite.
I spent time in Arkansas. You believe that? I moved from Brooklyn to Arkansas when I was like 12.
Okay, so is that where your accent broke, in Arkansas?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, nobody moves from Brooklyn. I've never met anybody that's moved from Brooklyn to Arkansas ever. Like, there's a reason for that.
I have to ask you the question,
Yeah.
why Arkansas?
Well, it's interesting because actually we weren't doing well economically. My mom didn't have any money. I mean, we were like sleeping in trains. In fact, shameless plug, putting together a book, right? Homeless to Home Run. That's going to come out in the next couple of months. But
Can't wait to read it.
I talk about that, and we didn't have any money. And just living in New York City is, it's not a cheap place to live. Staten Island's a little bit different, but we were living in Brooklyn still. Spent some time on, slept in trains, and just like being homeless in New York City is not fun. It's not fun, period.
You have a great story. I love your story. I heard your story numerous times. Growing up without a father, getting to this point in your life where you've created some business, you have a ton of agents working for you. This is your second book,
Yes.
and you got a lot to be proud of. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you.
Well, what's interesting, and this kind of leads us to what I wanted to talk about too. I know we were just talking about this. Is like, you can never be happy. You can be happy with what you've got, but in business, you can't just you're happy and like, all right, you made it, you arrived,
good.
and you're like,
No,
oh, we're good. It's like,
no, you cannot do that.
It's a constant, right? You got to constantly grow
Every day. Every day. You can't. The day you rest on your laurels is the day you go backwards.
How do you deal with that as a broker?
Out of fear. Honestly, out of fear.
Like
Because
paranoia, right?
a lot of people know my story,
Right.
hitting the jackpot
Yes.
for
I love
million
that
dollars,
story.
right?
I love that story. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I spent it all in the last. That money was gone in a few years. I spent that money, and then I was like, "What the hell did I do?"
How much courage did it take you to like share that story? Because that's like, it wasn't the smartest thing that you did.
I'll tell you how much courage. 20 years of grappling with it. Do I do it? Do I not do it? 20 years of pondering. How am I going to look? Am I going to look like a loser, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, where I'm at now, I really don't care what
You
people
care,
think.
right.
Who cares?
Right.
The bottom line, it's not how you start. It's how you finish. I'm not even finished. But my trajectory has been so much greater than I ever could imagine from back then that I'm actually proud to tell the story. And even more importantly than that, I want to tell this story because I feel that people can get something out of it.
Sure.
It's a self-help book that I wrote, like you are. And a lot of people, you probably don't hear about it, but there are probably a lot of people in the same boat that we were in that can use this help. And I feel like sharing that information, if it helps somebody get readjusted in their life, get back on track, grow their wealth again, doing the things that they have to do, even if it means uncomfortable things, but doing what they have to do to get back on track, then I'm happy knowing that. I'm happy that it helps touch someone's life.
People are not sharing their stories. That's actually one of the things I talk about in the book is like, we need to share more of our stories because that's how we learn. Too often we're embarrassed that this happened or, I was sexually abused, in my life. And I was like, okay, that you have to share those stories. But, maybe it's not that in depth. Maybe it's just, something that happened to you in real estate people, sharing whatever happened in a listing presentation. And, this is my experience. This is how I dealt with that. Like, that's how we learn. And too often people don't share the story.
And well, I think the first thing you have to do is overcome that fear of how you're going to be judged, right? Because people can hear your story. And the first thing you're thinking is, what are they going to think of? How do I look? But the truth is,
embarrassment. Yeah.
Who cares? Nobody. Well, if there's one thing that I learned throughout the years, nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody cares what somebody else is doing. They care about themselves, what they're doing. Everybody's always self-conscious. So I feel like if you say something about yourself today, or me for that matter, right? We both have great stories and they're true. And if it's something that can affect somebody else's life in a positive way, why not share it? It might be valued. So that's the reason why I came out with my book. You have a great story. I mean, your story is powerful. And when people get to know your story, especially those that can relate to it, they're going to buy your book. They're going to want to know what you have to say.
People talk about like you want, changing the world. Like it's kind of like a hokey statement, a little bit corny, but a lot of people like you want to make an impact. Like that's the hope in everybody's life. During your lifetime, you hope to change people in some way. It's the best way we can do that.
It's like a gift. If you have a story that you can put out there and possibly change somebody's life for the positive, I think you have to. It's almost like we're morally obligated to do that. What good is having a story of something that you overcame, problems that you dealt with in life? You figured out a way to overcome them, and you keep it all to yourself. Like, what good is that?
But isn't that how we got inspired? Like I could speak to that. Like I was inspired by other people's stories. Maybe it was a biography or an autobiography or somebody else's story that, oh my gosh, they did that. I can do that.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, definitely.
That's the thing.
I think that's what creates the motivation when you hear other people's stories. Like what you're saying, I know we were away a couple of years ago. We were at a Tom Ferry conference, and something clicked. I don't remember if it was one of his speakers or somebody that I spoke to there, but I had been writing my book, and I stopped. And I stopped because, I don't know, maybe a combination of losing interest. I didn't know what to talk about.
You do get bored with it.
Yeah, you get to the point of writer's block. You could write. Then you get to a point where you're like, I don't know what else I'm going to say today, right? So you come to that point of writer's block. And most writers, authors have the same problem. But something clicked with me that day. And I said, I better get back to doing this. I have my book half finished. What's my reason for not finishing it? And the thing that went through my mind was the fact that my message is good. And that was my motivation to get that out there. And this is when a lot of video, a lot of social media, podcasting really, really came on strong, especially in the real estate industry. It's what we do. And by hearing people telling their stories is really what got me going. I said, I think I have to get my story finished now. And that's what got me to the end.
Yes. Well, and that sometimes you need that push. You need that inspiration. And sometimes it's a thought. It's a conversation you hear. It's a video that you watch. It's something that you read that really pushes you, to the finish line.
When you find that motivation to finish something, it's like a switch. It just, the switch flips and there you go. You're ready to go. And sometimes it takes time for that to happen.
What was this? I think we have as brokers. It's so interesting because it's like, I almost want to say we're underappreciated because it's such a crazy business. Like, how did you get started in being a broker? I know the audience knows, but maybe
me. I don't know. It's funny that you asked me that question. I really don't know. I guess there's so many different aspects to the real estate business. You can be an agent and you love working with buyers. You could be an agent that loves working with sellers. You could be a manager of a company. You could be a broker owner. You can do so many different, you could be a trainer. There's so many aspects of the real estate business. I guess over the years, I just fell into it. More of that coaching role. I like to help people. If I had to equate what I do to what the agents do, the agents love helping buyers and sellers. Me as a broker, I love helping the agents. You're still helping people, but just in a different direction.
Yeah.
What about you?
I couldn't, it's interesting because there are times like there's always that passing thought of like, I could sell, I could be in production, I could do this. And then I coach one of my agents. One of my agents approaches me on a situation, and you've got a seller who's complaining about a hot water heater and the coffee maker is missing, and like I don't think I want to get that call. I don't want to have to deal with that particular situation directly, because the way I broker is I coach my people to connect with their people. I'm not connecting with the buyer and seller.
Right.
So, in the very beginning, I knew that I wanted, actually, can we go back a little bit?
Sure.
1997, I was working for Cox Cable Advertising. I was working for an advertising company. And I saw how they were running things. They were like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with the company, but, it was very corporate. I was like, this isn't for me. I noticed at that moment, I probably was, I don't know, 28, 29 at the time. It's like, I've got to work for myself. So I knew, okay, I've got to run my own business. It's the epiphany I had. Got to run my own business. Then I noticed I really have a heart to teach. And I think as a good broker, there's a lot of brokers that don't have that. And it doesn't mean that you have to have that heart to teach. If you don't, you better find somebody in your company that's going to have that heart to teach. And that's what I've got. I feel like, okay, I want to teach people. I want to help people in that way. So that's where it ended up. And
Well, you went, not only do you help people, but you went beyond your own salespeople that work in your agency.
Yes.
You coach outside agents and brokers like me
that's what happened.
that live in different parts of the country.
Well, that's what happened. I figured out, okay, I need to be my own broker, but not for the reasons. And I coach people that are agents that want to be brokers. And a lot of times what happens, I do want to talk about that. Like, I think there's a lot of mistakes that are made. Like, people sometimes want to be brokers because they want to be the boss, and they want to have other people work for them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have many people work for me so I don't have to work as hard. And I think that's completely wrong. And I think that's the worst mistake you can make for agents that are thinking, I want to start my own brokerage, I want to be my own leader, that type of thing. Because what happens, and you know this very well, is that we actually work for our agents. Our agents don't work for us. It's the wrong mentality. Mm-hmm. And I correct my agents. My agents, oh yeah, this is my boss. I'm not your boss.
Right.
And first of all, they don't do anything I tell them to do anyway.
And they can, right? Independent contractors.
Well, I joke, but they'll do maybe 20% of what I tell them to do, and that's actually perfectly okay. And they win. But I think the biggest thing is really, going into this is you got to have a heart of a teacher and know that you work for your agents. And that's what I saw is like, I get the best. My biggest wins are seeing people. I've got agents, and I know you've got these stories too. Agents that, they started off, they were a waitress at a restaurant or a bartender. Maybe they were a single mom, maybe making $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, struggling and barely able to pay rent, barely able, maybe deadbeat dad, father, whatever, or father or husband, whatever. And they're struggling. And then they come in and they do 20% of what I tell them to do, or they plug into a lot of what we do, which you've got something amazing here, by the way. Every agent needs to take advantage of this. We just had that conversation about an hour ago.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too in a little while.
Yeah, podcast, and you have an incredible setup here. A little jealous.
Thank you.
So very, very, very nice.
You got a great setup too, though.
So
you do,
and it's different, right? Like every market is.
It's different, but I love what you guys do every week with the caravans. I think that's fantastic.
That's a good thing. But I think it's like seeing that person, that lady, that guy, that can go from having very little and struggling to now all of a sudden making several $100,000 a year, paid off house, paid off their cars, they're not in debt. They put away a ton of money, and they're financially in a different place. Mm-hmm. That's the big win for me.
That is a big win. You know what? You should be proud of that. And my wife tells me all the time, You've transformed people's lives. You've helped people grow so much. And, I guess from the day-to-day operation of what we do, I don't, if you're like me, and I know you are in many ways, I don't micromanage the business. I don't look at every little thing and say, okay, this person sold this today, that's a win for them. This person sold that today. I don't do that because there's just not enough hours in the day, and there's so many other things that you have to focus on as a broker, right? But the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of agents and even administrative people who come to work with us, and they're at a certain point in their life and they're struggling. Next thing you know it, they got a top producer award. That equates to earning. There's no doubt about it at any level. And it is something to be proud of because you help that person grow in their life, and it means everything.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway for me. That's the prize, right? That's the goal at the end of the rainbow.
But I have to say this. I didn't look at that. I didn't look at it that way in the beginning.
Of course not. How did you look at it?
I'll tell you how I looked at it. I looked at it like I just liked helping people. When I first got into business and I worked buyers and sellers, I liked helping them. I liked helping buyers find something. I liked helping sellers sell their property. I didn't look at it through the eyes of a broker. It just kind of happened over the years because then agents would come to me and say, Frank, how do I do this? How do I do that? You know, and then I liked helping them. And I guess it went through a transformation. I started gravitating more towards the agents. I learned what they needed, and I enjoyed delivering that. And that kind of grew. I recently did a podcast with two of our agents, and they were asking me, yeah, Frank, what's it like to be a broker? And I said, by working with people like you.
Yes.
They're professional. They work hard. I see that. And those that work hard, isn't it ironic how the harder they work, the more you want to help them?
Of course.
And
they're hungry.
And they're hungry, but then they get to the next level.
Yes.
Whatever their next level is defined in their life.
There's certain agents that make it easier, right? One, they're actually easy to work with, but they're, I always go by, hungry, humble, and smart, right? They're motivated, they're inspired, they're willing to learn, right? Whatever you tell them, they're like, okay, they absorb it and they execute on it. The people that execute the most always win. And the people that are able to have conversations in public, right? Like you got to be somewhat smart, not necessarily IQ smart, but be able to have, communication skills. So, that makes it easier when you've got that person. By the way, when did you lose your hair? Was it pre-broker?
Very important question. I'm glad you asked that. We have to address that to our audience. When did I lose my hair? Well, according to my mother, I lost my hair when I was playing football because she always said the helmet used to move my hair around and pull it out. Now, I don't know about that. I think I was on the path to losing my hair anyway, but probably in my late teens,
you
early
can blame
20s.
her, by the way. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not quite, but that was just her excuse for making me feel better. But I don't know. Right. When did you lose your hair?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't remember, but I will tell you this funny story.
Because I remember when we first met, you had a full head of hair. Did I do that to you?
I think you're the reason.
I could be.
Well,
I haven't quit on you in 9 years, so you had to deal with me all that time.
All the stress, super stressful. No, I think it's it's funny. It's I was actually at the time where I was recognizing that I have to work for myself. I won a sales award with the company, and we got a free stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island, Florida. It's like super upscale. And we had so little money that we couldn't afford to eat on the premises. We had the hotel that was paid for, but food was not taken care of. So we didn't have any money. Still, just like still struggling. I was top salesperson, still not making any money. Typical thing in sales, especially in the beginning. We had to sneak in Taco Bell. We're embarrassed. We went to Taco Bell off campus and brought Taco Bell onto the Ritz-Carlton premises, and we were embarrassed about doing that. But after we ate, I was in the bathroom. You know how some of these hotel rooms will have, this one did anyway, full wall mirror, and also had a mirror on the ceiling. And I remember, like in the middle of this, my wife would attest this, and I said, I looked up, like, babe, I've got a bald spot, and she was like, no, blank. Right? She was like, are you serious? Like, yeah, I didn't know I had a bald spot. We were married maybe like a year or 2 years, and she said, I've always known you with that bald spot. So okay, but somehow I lost my hair.
She loved you either way.
That's exactly. Well, I've got to give a shout out to Juliana because she she married me. I was driving a 76 Buick Century that was smoking like a chimney. And that thing in the middle of one winter in Arkansas, where we met, the heater broke. So I had to make a decision.
Did you tell these stories in your book?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to make a decision. And the decision was to either, shut off the heater completely or just keep it on. I was like, well, it's winter. It's cold in Arkansas in the winter. It's like, well, okay. Keep it on. So they kept it on. Now, 76 Buick Century has this massive, 350 or what. It's a massive engine. There was heat coming out of that thing. It was beautiful until June.
Until it started to overheat.
Until July. Because I couldn't afford a new car. And it was now summer. And that's about the time Juliana and I started going out. So she had to be in that car. I had to pick her up in that car in the middle of summer. She still married me. So kudos to her.
Did the car have air conditioning? I need to know.
No AC.
No.
No AC, just heat. No AC. Wow. Heat blowing out of that thing. You couldn't shut it off. You couldn't close the vents. I mean, that thing was just coming out. And you couldn't drive fast enough for it to keep cool because the thing was a monstrosity.
So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking this. You've come a long way in your business, right? And you can reflect back on those stories and you can laugh now. But those life lessons are so valuable. I had this talk with my wife the other day. We were driving home from Pennsylvania. We were at a wedding. And we were reflecting, as we do once in a while, how things were 30 years ago. And every once in a while, my wife will bring up to me, she'll say, if you didn't squander all that money, if you didn't blow that money, you could have done this. You want to know something? The truth of the matter is, the worst thing that happened in my life, and this might sound crazy, but it's really the truth, was me winning that money. Because I was doing okay before that. I didn't have a lot of money, but I was building myself up.
Were you married at that time? I don't remember.
I wasn't married. Okay. I won that money. I didn't meet my wife till years later. But the point is, when you have that kind of money, and I even mentioned this in my book, The Real Win, that's the name of my book, right?
Yeah.
You're actually on it. I got you on the back cover.
Is that right?
You made my book, You
nice,
know that,
nice.
Right? I have to remind you.
I forgot. That's right.
What happened was I win that money, and I'm like, wow, this is great. I could buy anything I want. So you start to splurge. You buy this, you buy that, right? Life is great. Life is easy. It's so much fun. Because you don't, and I was 24 years old, and you don't appreciate the value of a dollar at such a young age. You really don't. You appreciate the value of a dollar as you work for it day in, day out, year after year after year after year.
How old were you? You were 20?
I was 24.
24, yeah.
So I was a young kid. So I hadn't lived my life yet. I didn't know how much $1 million really was.
It's probably the worst thing that happened.
That's what I'm saying. It was the worst thing that happened to me. It was a great thing. It was fun and everything, but it didn't teach me anything.
No.
It taught me to spend money and splurge.
But that's a real thing with lottery winners, right? Like
lottery winners,
lose their money.
A lot of them do. A lot of them do. It's pretty.
Frank,
worse stories than mine.
That's something. I'm actually doing something now. I think we've talked about this, where I'm taking my top 25 people every month. So I have a rank top 25. You make the top 25 list. Of course, that motivates people that want to make the list. Sometimes it ticks people off, like, oh, I'm never going to get there, and that you're going to have that. But with my top 25 people, what I'm doing is I'm setting up a monthly Zoom session where just for them, it's not for the whole group, just for them, where we just talk about financial literacy. And we're talking about them becoming financially independent and wealthy, because we make a lot of money, and that's kind of
how do the others feel that aren't included?
I think there's a little bit of, for some there might be a defeatist attitude, like, oh, I'm never going to hit that, but it's not true, because it's not true, because every month we have 2 or 3 people that make it, that it's the first time they've never been on it, and they're brand new, and they hit the top 25. So it's not unattainable at all. Okay. Right? And I think it inspires people. People want to be on the list, right? Consistently. So, I think mostly I haven't heard anything too negative. I think it's actually a good thing. I've done top 25 for many years. Done top 25 for at least I don't know, 7 or 8 years.
Do you find that it motivates more
Yes.
people?
Yeah. I think it is more motivational than anything else. Yeah, we got to track. We got to have, we got to have tracking mechanisms. We got to have something in place to inspire people.
Well,
Something
I
to shoot
tell you,
for.
I like the idea because in this business, especially as an independent contractor, you're kind of on an island. If you don't have some accountability, you actually mentioned it at the meeting today, but if you don't have accountability of your earnings, where does a portion of your income go?
Yes.
How do you accumulate wealth?
You
Where
don't.
does it go? I feel like there are so many agents in this business that live commission check to commission check. They don't have a long-term plan. And I think it's a problem. And I think that it's good that you do that. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed more and more in the industry. And we as brokers, I know I do it with my people, not the top 25 list, but other things we do to address it because I think it's a problem. I think it's a question of people don't know how much taxes to save. They don't know how to allocate a certain portion for regular living and a certain portion for investments and a certain portion for taxes. I think it's a problem. And then they just spend the money that comes in. And then when it comes time to pay the taxes, there's nothing there and they find themselves in trouble.
Frank, isn't that exactly what happened to you at 24? Right?
Well,
here's some money. And
okay.
it's
It wasn't a real estate deal, but it was a big check that came
Here's
to me.
money. It's the
I
same.
spent it all, yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Like people don't know what to do with money. And and a lot of these people, unfortunately what happens in real estate is you don't learn business. They don't teach business. And you know this very well. Each one of our agents, independent contractors, they're business owners. They just don't know it. And they don't know how to run a business.
Right.
Right? Sometimes they need to hire an assistant. They don't know how to hire. Or on a very basic level, they don't know how to create systems or processes, or they don't know how to save their money, how to budget, how to look at a P&L.
Most agents don't have corporations.
Well, yes.
And they should have a corporation, whether they're doing one deal a year or 30 deals a year. They should have a corporation, and they should set themselves up, have the corporation pay them. That's the rule of thumb. That's the first thing they should do.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I'm doing the special. It's once a month. I do it on the last Friday of every month at 8:15 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And whoever wants to show up can show up. That's in the top 25. And that's what we talk about. Financial
and that
literacy.
brings value. We talked about what we do as brokers to bring our agents value. And that's a good one right there because I guarantee a lot of agents don't have that at the companies where they work. I don't know. A lot of agents that I interview that come to work with me, we have a large team now, and a lot of the agents that I talk to don't have corporations. They live paycheck to paycheck, and I think it's definitely something that needs to be incorporated into their business. They're independent contractors. They might not necessarily know how to seek the right advice, but we can help them along with that. And that's part of the value, I believe, that we bring as brokers to our salespeople.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one. And I got to that conclusion. I don't remember how, but it was probably a couple of years ago. It wasn't many years ago. But I figured, okay, what's the big proposition? What's my why? Right? We all get to that point of like, what am I doing, on this earth and what's my purpose and all that kind of thing. And I think it's a legitimate thing for people.
What is it?
For me it's helping agents get to, one of the purposes is getting agents to be financially independent. Everybody that's associated with me, I want to see people 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I want to see them at the grocery store and they're giving me a hug and like, Glenn, I'm so happy and grateful and thankful. That's the biggest buzz right there for me. Mm-hmm. And I get that now. I get that, but the journey's not up. There's still new people jumping in. There's still people, struggling, especially in this marketplace. I think it's going to improve next year, but there's still a lot of people struggling at this point.
I love it. I feel the same way. I just get a little bit, so sometimes it's a little bit frustrating because as a broker what you want for your people. And I feel the same way as you. I want to see my people retire, be financially secure. That should be everyone's end game. I don't think anybody should rely on working in this business when they're in their 80s. If they want to and you have the health and you can, fine. But if you don't want to and you want to retire and pull out of the business, I feel at that point in your life, or even well before that, you should be able to, because you position yourself to be able to. And I love that. I love helping my agents work towards that. However, what frustrates me is the agents that don't do what they're supposed to do. And I know that's going to happen.
And we've talked about that, Frank. So it's interesting because it's like I've gotten to the point now. I think you go through. I could speak for myself, but I think there's an evolution in a broker. So at first you get into it. Maybe you get into for the wrong reasons. If you're going to be successful, you'll say, okay, well, I'm going to not be in production, and I'm going to help my agents, succeed. I'm going to teach them how to do listing presentations, buyer presentations. And it morphs into, okay, I want to see them eventually, hopefully, brokers get to the point where, all right, you're going to be financially independent. And then somewhere in the middle, you might be really frustrated. And this happens in the very beginning, more than I think in the middle and the end, which is you become frustrated because you're giving them the roadmap. Here's the plan. And you're teaching. And then you think that no one's doing anything that you taught them. Now, what's interesting about that is a lot of what we do is very much like parenting. In the way that, we parent and then we think, well, the kids, and they grow up and, they're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and like they're doing whatever the heck they want to do. And like, oh, they didn't learn anything. And then one day they come in and they do something and like, this happened, Dad, and I did this. And then you're like super proud. Like you didn't think they were listening.
Yeah.
So that happens with agents. It's like we're teaching them. And I've seen this with myself. Like people parrot back. Mm-hmm. Like people I thought I didn't even know they showed up to my meetings. Mm-hmm. And then they're parroting back something I've said over the years. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what I did is da-da-da, like you said, blah, 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 blah. I was like, wow, they were paying attention.
That does happen.
So that's part of it.
That's gratifying when you see that. At least you know that they're paying attention.
And not being attached. And this is something I teach them. So sometimes I've had to self-coach, which is not being attached to the outcome.
And you know what? And that's why you're a coach. Listen, I'm listening to you talk, and that's exactly why you're good at what you do. And not good, you're great at what you do. And agents who can be coached by you, and I know you keep it to a certain amount, I believe are fortunate to have someone like you that cares and has the ability to teach them everything right and with the right mentality in this business. It's a very, very abstract business.
And that's hard. What I'm telling people to do, it's also the realization that what we do and what we're telling people to do is also very difficult. Understanding that it's easy for us to teach and say, okay, here, do these 10 things. Like we talked about today, put together, your top 5 things that make you a winner as an agent and, 10 reasons why you should list with me or whatever. That's easy for me to say. It's sometimes hard for them to execute. So when they don't do what we say to do, because we know when they do, like if we tell them, hey, do this, and you're going to win, you're going to have financial freedom, and they didn't do it, and we get upset, first of all, it's not helpful. 2, we've got to realize that they're coming from a different position, which is something, actually the real thing about my book is actually this, understanding dealing with other people in your family and your life and understanding why people do certain things and understanding that sometimes they don't do it and it's okay because they're coming from a whole different experience. Mm-hmm. They've got a whole different mindset. They've got a different, frame of thinking. They were raised by different people. Maybe they've got, and I'll give you a perfect example. I share this. I've got a lot of stories in the book, by the way, but so I'm not going to share all of them. But one of them is, I remember telling one of my agents, okay, what you need to do is you need to do video. If you do video, this is going to help expose what you do. It's going to give you a lot of leverage in the marketplace. You're going to make more money, bottom line. She doesn't do it. And she didn't do it multiple times. And I was getting frustrated. This is early on in my broker career. I was getting frustrated with that, not getting mad, but it was like, okay, I was getting kind of a bad attitude. I guess she's just not going to win. to this day, actually, she is winning in a big way. But what she told me immediately after, this is 10 years ago, immediately after our session, and we went over video like 7 times over like a 2-month period. She comes to me and says, Glenn, I want to let you know something. I got to tell you why I haven't done video. I know you want me to do video, and I understand that. The reason why I don't do video was I was sexually molested as a child, and I don't like the way I look. I don't like my image. Now, that was a tough share for her.
What a shame.
That was a tough share.
Yeah.
But we have to understand there's reasons why people don't do things. And sometimes we don't know the reason.
I'll tell you one of the things that I do. So my style has changed in a way where I'll meet with recruits, people who are considering coming to work with me, and I'll expose them to everything we do, right? Like this is our podcast room. I'll introduce them to our interview room and our green screen room and our marketing team, which is phenomenal. They're beautiful. They're smart.
This is your crown jewel.
It's an amazing team of what we have going on here is an incredible asset to our company, right? But the one thing I won't do is I won't force anybody to do anything, to your point, because I don't know what they want to do. I think once they're introduced to all our tools, our technologies, of course, we have a whole AI platform now. We have an AI toolkit with 20 tools that we use that just the names alone could really scare the crap out of you. You'd be like, oh, what's all this stuff? But they don't have to worry about that because our marketing people know how to use everything. The point is, I'll introduce them to everything that we do. Whether it's in the Tottenville office, New Jersey, Staten Island, it doesn't make a difference. We do everything in each place where we have our offices, okay? So at that point, once they're introduced to our tools, our technologies, our marketing platform, they'll even meet our marketing people. It's up to them to decide, hey, you know what? I might want to explore this. I might want to explore that. It sort of opens them up. Now they understand what we're all about. So when they come to work with us, they're going to have something going on in the back of their mind of how they can get started. And once they know what that is, or once they kind of know what it is, then we'll help them go forward from that point. And I think that's what's been working. Because I learned a long time ago, you can introduce agents. You could say, you can do video, you can do this, you can do that. But if they really don't want to do it, you can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. Now, that doesn't mean it's a permanent thing, that they'll never do it. But just right at the moment, they don't want to do it. They're not mentally ready yet.
That's where I think as a broker, we have to have someone on staff, or we need to develop the talent of being able to coach a little bit. Like there's a little bit of coach in every broker, and you have this, obviously. And I think that, sometimes the agent, you're right, it may not be the right move. Like video may not be the right move. And they may be in love with video. They may be like, oh my God, I really need to do this. However, there's a lower hanging fruit for them. There's an easier something for them to do where they can get business and do great business because it's much more natural and it's available for them, as opposed to doing something that's way outside the norm and doesn't make sense for them to get into. And sometimes there's people that are, video has to be the play. I could tell you stories. I've got coaching clients I've coached where it just makes sense. Give you an example. I've had this type of thing. Very experienced agents, 15, 20 plus years in the business. They've got 4 or 5 different revenue streams, different ways to get business in their business. And they want to look at, Glenn, I've been hearing about video. I need to get into video or something, whatever the new thing is. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to worry about that. And they're struggling with it. Now, if they want to get into it, and I think it's good for them to get into it, but if they're struggling with it, stop struggling and move towards this. So I think understanding right?
I want to know why they're struggling. See, here's the
It's
thing.
tech. They're struggling because it's, this is what I've noticed about, in working with so many agents and coaching, is that there's great ideas. Just because an idea works for you, it may not work for me, right? That type
Yes,
of thing.
yes, that's true. And I also feel that
Don't you think, right?
I do. But going back to the question, why are they struggling? So here's what I'm thinking. We're in a stage in this industry where the tools and the technology have grown so far beyond what a salesperson's capability is. Well, most salespeople, I'm going to speak for everybody, but most salespeople, that they need help. They need help. The tools that are involved, whether it's video, podcasting, any sort, social media marketing, anything that's related to marketing that we do now as our norm in the industry, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So if you have the right marketing people in place that can hold people's hand and help them execute what it is that they want to do, they might just turn around and like it and say, oh, you know what? That was really simple. Thank you so much for your help. And now they want to do more of it. So that's where I'm going with this.
I think, and sometimes it's understanding whether somebody needs a push or not. Like I've seen people, for instance, struggle with our basic document storage platform, and they're fabulous with their past clients, but they're in their 70s. Now, some of my people in their 70s are fabulous at ChatGPT, but some of my people that are in their 70s or even younger struggle with the basic tech. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the struggle, and struggle isn't just like one time, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm talking about full training 3 or 4 times. They still don't get it after a month, and they're not dumb. It's just not their thing. Don't worry about that. Concentrate on business. And then there are other times where you've got people that you need to do this because you have to do this, and sometimes we got to show people the way. So there's a difference. And
Yeah,
I think
because you believe in them, and that's where they belong.
That's where they belong, and you can see
and
it.
you know once they get in that space, they're going to be great.
Correct.
I agree with that. Well, you know what? Look, it's up to us to recognize this and to give them that nudge and say, listen, you need to be doing this tomorrow. What's your excuse for not doing it?
Yes. And by the way, you were talking about that with, broker, support and broker, added value and propositions and what we do. That's one of them. Right? I mean, right?
It's all about caring for your agents.
Yeah.
I truly am invested in my agents, and it doesn't end just with the business. I'm invested in them with their personal lives. I know what a lot of our agents are up to on a personal level. I want to know. Sometimes I might not hear from an agent for a long time, and I'll say, are they okay?
Yeah.
I want to know, is everything okay? Can I help you with anything? What's going on? You need help? What do we need? And it could be nothing more than they could be in a rut. It happens to
positive
the best
word.
of
Positive word. Yeah.
It happens to the best of everyone. I mean, look at Major League Baseball players, right? That struggle. They go into a slump. They go 0 for 30, 0 for 40. They can't get a hit. They have batting coaches. They have coaches coming around them, and it's just something's just not clicking. They can't hit the ball, right? And they could have a 400 batting average, and now they're down to 250. And you're like, what the heck happened?
That's where the manager comes in.
That's where they seek as much help as they can, and it's just not, it doesn't matter. It's not working, right? But then eventually something gives. The right help comes along. There's something that triggered them doing something right and got them back on track. And we do that a lot. I find, especially the way our business has been the last couple of years, as challenging as it's been, the lack of sales, the intensified competition, commission compression, everything involved in this business that really created a lot of challenges in the last few years. I feel as though being a broker, we need to pay more attention to our agents now more than ever. Our intentions are 100% correct. We want what's best for them. We want them to earn. But we also have to realize that when somebody falls off a little bit, we have to pay attention to that and help them get back on track. Because forget the goals. We don't want them falling out of the business altogether. And that happened to a lot of agents over the last few years.
Yeah.
After the COVID
jobs,
years,
yeah.
20, 21, 22, and then the rates went up and sales dropped off, and people were saying, I remember seeing social media posts, that's it, I'm done with this business, because they can't sell anything. They have such a bad attitude about it. Look, that's going to happen to some people, and no matter what we do as coaches, we're not going to get them back on track, because really what it comes down to is if they want the help or not. Our help is always there, but if they're not going to allow us to help them, then it's just not going to work. They might as well just pack it in, either retire or find something else to do. But if they're willing to get back on track and accept our help and work towards it, it'll get back on track. Things will begin to start working out again. And I remember at the last conference we went to, the message was, we need to work harder now more than ever. The industry is that much more challenging. There's fewer listings. The inventory, even though it crept up, it's nowhere near what the inventory levels were 5 years ago. Sales, 4.1 million sales last year versus 5.1 million sales in 2021. We dropped off 1 million sales. What does that mean? That means there's not enough product going around. There's fewer sales in the country. That means agents are going to sell less. You can't sell what you don't have. I always say that. But they're going to sell less. It's the agents who want to stay on top. The only way they're going to be able to sell more and do more is they have to work harder. They have to do more things, right? Like we call it lead sources. If they have 5, 6, 7 lead sources in their business, maybe now it's got to be 8 to 10. It's got to be more. And that's what we're here for, to help them get where they need to be.
Things have changed. I think brokers are doing more. Agents are having to do more. Because when think about this, when you get your license, think about this, 20, 30 years ago, you weren't doing podcasts. We weren't worried about marketing. We advertised in, Homes and Land magazine, the real estate book, and, that was our marketing. There wasn't even Zillow, Realtor.com. There was none of that. So there's a lot more things that they have to do to get business.
And a lot more uncomfortable things. What we're doing right now, maybe we're making this look easy. But for somebody who never did a podcast or never did a video, it could be pretty daunting. It's not like you get your real estate license, you come into the business and say, all right, let me roll up my sleeves. We're going to start doing some video.
It's a hard business, yeah.
I had some of my friends, my very best friends, ask me, they say, Frank, you really love doing videos, right? I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that I want to do the video. It's that it's part of our business. It's what we do.
The market is really, what I've seen over the last couple of years, it's really a market of the haves and the have-nots. To your point of a lot of agents leaving or even quiet quitting or just, getting a job and not telling anybody that they're really not in production full time. I've seen some of my people have the best years they've ever had in a sluggish marketplace. And part of that reason is what you're talking about, which is, obviously being coachable, doing the work, executing on the hard things, doing the things that they're uncomfortable with. Also having a lot of past clients, having a base and really capitalizing on the things that they do really, really well. And they've done fabulous and have had record-setting years where a lot of people are struggling. So it's very interesting.
Oh, it's definitely interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, I noticed this. Experienced agents who've been in the business for a long time and are used to the old way of doing things, some of them are struggling. They're not willing to adjust to how the business is being worked now. A lot of them don't want to do video. A lot of them are still worried about AI. When somebody says to me, Frank, I don't know about AI, this is scary. I'm like, it's not scary. Get that out of your head. It's not scary.
You got to give them an example. Here, I got an example for you. I've got to give a shout out to one of my agents, Sissy Smith, who's 79 years old. And she has created GPTs within ChatGPT. She's always on ChatGPT. She's created birthday songs for her clients. She's created staging, virtual stage. She's 79. She loves ChatGPT. And those are the people that win.
Well, because people who say, "Oh my God, AI, it's going to take over. It's scary," people that talk like that, they don't know enough about it. They don't understand it enough. Really, what AI is doing is it's making our job a lot easier. Like, for instance, you asked John before we began this podcast to give us a list of podcast topics, right? Which we didn't even use one of them, but but we have it anyway.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, right. Thank you, John. Appreciate your help. But I mean, we could just talk all day about this stuff. But the truth is, how easy was that? If we had to sit there and write things down freehand and say, okay, what are we going to talk about? Let's do number one, number two. Meanwhile, ChatGPT spit out 10 ideas in about 10 seconds. And they're all great, even though we're talking about what we're talking about. But
yeah.
So people who don't understand that kind of have their backs turned to it. And I think that's a mistake. But that's only one example. There's so many things that we do in the business. Video is another. Podcasting is another. Interviews, social media posts, putting yourself out there, your face, your picture. A lot of people are bashful about it. You can't be a secret agent in real estate, right? That's real estate 101.
What do you recommend they do? Like somebody who's a little bit scared, a little bit bashful, they're nervous. What's your first step?
Well, I think the first thing is, and this is basic, the very first thing that an agent, a newly licensed agent can do is make a list of three columns, all right? Your cold prospects, lukewarm prospects, and your hot prospects. So let's say the cold prospects are people that you maybe interact with on a daily basis, but you don't really know them that well. Maybe you see them in the grocery store, or for women to get their nails done, they see somebody that comes in that sits next to them, or you go to the gym and you see people regularly, but you really don't know them. So that's a cold list, right? So you can establish names for that list. Then you have the lukewarm list. So let's say you take your kids to school and you're in the schoolyard and you have little conversations with some of the other parents. Okay, so it's one step better. You know these people a little bit better, but you still really don't know them, and you don't know much about their lives other than the fact that your kid and their kid go to the same school together, and that's what they share in common. Then you have the hot list, where you have friends, family, acquaintances, people you do business with, right? So if you take those three spheres, right, and you market to them individually, and you say, very first thing, hey, this is Frank DiTommaso, just got my real estate license. I wanted to let you know if you have any interest in buying or selling, or if you know anyone that's interested in buying or selling, would you please keep me in mind, right? That's the first thing. So you can send out an announcement like that, send it out on social media, send it out mass emails. We have a great CRM, Lofty. That's what Lofty does. Lofty's fantastic with that. It does mass emails, mass texts.
So
right?
It could be email, could be direct mail, could be social.
And it could be a phone call. So I think it could even be a phone call.
Text.
If you have their phone numbers, right? And we have tools that can get everybody's phone number. We have some specialized tools that do that. So you can start making phone calls. And I tell the agents, when they first get their license, to make as many phone calls as they can. But one of the things that a new agent needs to do is to say, can you give me a number? Who do you know is looking to buy or sell? Can you give me their number? Can I call them now? Don't say, can you think of me? Because naturally they'll say, yeah, sure. And then, you know what? In one ear and out the other, and you may never have that conversation again. It's got to be a little more pushy. You want to be a little more assertive about it and say, who can I call today? Who have you spoke to lately is looking to buy or sell?
And there's a bridge to that. New people, sometimes I think what you've got to do, and this is a move I recommend they make, is like get into being an expert. Like learn how to be an expert fast. Mm-hmm. So diving into the numbers, diving into, the 7-day numbers, what's happened in this particular area, Staten Island, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Here are the stats, 30-day numbers, whatever it is. Become an expert and share that expertise. Share that information so you don't look new.
The data is so easily available nowadays.
Yeah, use it.
So what you're saying is 100% true. Yeah. It's always about being the knowledgeable agent. And you don't have to be in the business for many years to come across that way. You could have gotten your license yesterday. You could be shown today how to pull market statistics, and you could present those statistics, and maybe it creates an illusion that you've been in the business a long time because you know what you're talking about. But meanwhile, it was just nothing more than the fact that the statistics are right in front of you and you're just reciting them. That's all it is.
Yes. Yeah. But that's what people are looking for. That's what the public is looking for. They want to know that you know what you're doing.
You talk about adding value, right? And that's a lot of the conversations that we have. You ask me, we speak every week, and you ask me, what are you doing for your agents? What kind of value are you bringing your agents? In our meetings, we talk about things like that, right? One of the questions today was, how can I earn a higher fee, right? Because the fees are negotiable. They're all over the place. And it is true that there are agents that get a higher fee because they put themselves as the knowledgeable expert. They've done their homework. Their presentation is incredible. They build a case. They show how much value they've given to past clients, and they can show them. They have the proof, along with the statistics, as you talk about, and any other value piece that they have that they can explain to them, and that's how they can earn a much greater fee. It's always about providing more value.
I always look at it like, yeah, that's 100% correct. And if people need clarification on that, it's very much like either a high-end restaurant versus a medium-end or a low-end restaurant, or the high-end hotel, the Ritz-Carlton versus, I don't know, Motel 6, whatever, whatever. That I think is an issue in real estate where the public doesn't see the difference between one agent and another. Everybody appears to be the same. And when you've got that many agents out in the public, it's really crucial that each agent really looks at what they're doing and not just do it. Because we heard that today. A couple of people were saying, well, I don't want to say they wing it, because everybody has a presentation, whether it's verbal or non. But they go to the presentation and they're not showing or communicating the value. I've seen this happen with experienced people where they have this list of, here are all the things that I'm going to do, but they don't really go over each one. So the person across from them doesn't understand the value of an open house or the value of, we do a caravan, right? We're going to, it's the equivalent of a broker's open. Whatever it is that people do, you need to make sure you're explaining the value of each so the other person understands your value.
And that's the reason why not all agents are created equal. You have to be disciplined in this business. So, okay, a lot of agents will go out, they'll take their comps, they'll go on the listing appointment, they'll rely on their gift of gab and their comps and talk about what they're going to do. That's a minimal presentation. There's really not much value after that. And as we talked about, you have to understand who your audience is. Most school teachers, most CPAs, engineers, they want to see statistics because they're dialed into that. So you have to know who your audience is, and you have to appeal to that. There's a very good chance if you go there and you're prepared with market statistics, recent sales, not just the ones you did, but the ones in the community, in the MLSs that you serve, and you can explain to people everything that they want to know about, you got a very good chance of earning their business. If you go on an appointment with professionals like them, and you just kind of wing it and just show comps, and then somebody else goes in there and they're prepared, you're going to lose.
Well, and I think what tends to happen is a lot of the agents are leaning on maybe the trust factor or likability factor, right? They know that these people like them. They kind of know them. Maybe it's from a distance. Maybe they're closer with them. So they're counting on that, and they're also counting on their energy. And sometimes that wins. Sometimes that's all you have to do is walk in, and you've got the trust factor already. Someone else has used you. They've gotten, you've gotten third-party testimonial, and you're bringing enough energy, and you're interesting enough, and you seem gung-ho enough to get this person's homes sold, that's enough. But sometimes it's not. And that's the big there's a big delta
The
there.
problem with that mindset,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, is that if you allow yourself
Yeah.
to take your foot off the gas pedal
Yeah.
because you're
You're gonna
going on
lose.
an appointment that you think you're going to get, you might get it,
Yeah.
but you didn't improve that day. That was a gift.
Of course.
You improved if you pull the statistics.
Yeah.
If you didn't just take for granted, I'm going to get this listing so I don't have to work as hard. You actually took a step back in your career.
Isn't that the punchline though? Like I think even for us as brokers and when we're recruiting people too, it's like, how can I help this person that's sitting across from me?
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Like if you're asking yourself, how can I help? Not just and I think too often, an agent might say, okay, well, I'm going to help them sell their house. Well, there's hundreds of people that can do the same thing. They could sell it themselves.
Right. Just like there's 100 brokers that agents could work for.
They could sell it themselves and save the money.
So I've gotten to the point in my career where I'm very self-conscious of what I include in my presentation, what I talk to agents about, and then after my interview with them is over, I evaluate what I went through. I go through in my head, what did I talk about? What was good? What wasn't good? What I can eliminate? What I should add the next time? I really think about it. And if I feel that my presentation, they might have hit me with a curveball. And maybe I winged an answer. Maybe it was good enough, but it might not sit well with me. So now, if it was something about a technology or something that I wasn't too sure of, I'll make sure that I have that in my presentation, because I do have a presentation, but I'll make sure it's there and it's done well so that the next time, if the same question is asked of me, I'm prepared for it. So I make sure that, as a broker, I'm improving every day. That's just me.
Yeah.
I just, a part of me that, and I didn't always behave this way. It's not something that
How'd you get there?
I lost a lot of agents over the years.
Right. You
Just
start
like
losing. Yeah.
agents lose a lot of listings, or you lose opportunities. I'm not going to say I lost agents. I lost opportunities. And then I would say to myself, well, why was that? Well, what did I do
It's
wrong?
skill. It's skill.
It's probably 90% skill, 10% not being prepared properly.
Yeah. That's part of skill though.
Right? Yeah, I guess
You got to be ready.
They work together.
If you're not ready, that's if you have the skill, you don't need as much preparation.
It's like this. If you're on top of your business and you're learning yourself every day, making yourself better and better and better, the teacher always has to be ahead of the student. The day the student is ahead of the teacher,
Done.
the teacher's
Yeah.
got a problem.
Yeah, you're done.
Well, I feel it's the same thing with us as brokers. Yeah. If we don't have the value to offer our agents, there's going to be another broker breathing down their necks.
What do you think your top 3 value propositions are?
Well, that's pretty easy. Number one, they're working at an agency that cares, that truly, truly wants to see them succeed.
And they can feel it.
Oh, I think they feel it. I think they know it. I always refer to it as support on demand. They know they can call us at night. They can call us on the weekend. If they're working through a problem deal, a problem listing, whatever it is that they're working on, we're there to help them. We don't blow our agents off at all. We're there 100% for them. That's the first thing. The second thing is that our administrative team is always there for their support. And I know, because I hear from time to time, they get phone calls from agents, and our admin team, our Monday to Friday admin team is there from 9 to 5, and they're not supposed to be there on the weekends. We have a weekend crew in each of our offices, but if there's somebody that they want to talk to, maybe they were helping them out during the week on something, I get phone calls sometimes, and the admins will let me know that the agents reached out to them on the weekend when it was their off time. And they help. They don't shun anybody. So our admin team is always there. So our management team is always there for support. Our admin team is always there for support. And the last thing is this: we have fantastic technologies. Our technologies are way ahead. Between AI and our video and everything that we do technology-wise, is very well ahead in the industry. We don't just introduce these technologies and tools to our agents and say, all right, you're on your own. Good luck. I hope you like what you saw, and you can go ahead and use everything. No, we don't just do that. Once they're exposed to everything that we offer, we have a marketing team that can help them execute and use all these tools. Because I know from experience, it even happened to me. You're introduced to tools, CRMs, different technology. We have Dotloop, we have DocuSign, all these different programs, right? Just to give you an example of a few. And who knows how to use that, right? You don't just automatically know how to use those softwares. You have to be taught so that then you can be on your own using it. So our marketing team knows all those programs, them and plus a whole lot more. So if an agent gets stuck, whether it's at night, during the day, they'll call one of our marketing team members and they'll say, hey, listen, can you help me with this? Yeah, sure. What do tell me what you got going on. So, and it's not just a one-shot deal here and there. It's every single day. If they want to shoot video, if they want to do a podcast, they'll call our marketing people and they'll say, hey, can you get me into the media center tomorrow?
It's free.
It's free.
For them.
It's free. We have no
Not
franchise
for you,
fees. We have no fees whatsoever.
You still got to pay Nick over here.
Nick, right? Nick gets paid well, but he's well worth it. He does a great job for us. But yeah, so those are the three things.
Okay. All right. That's strong. That's important. And I think that's what everybody has to do in a business. Right? They need to make sure that they're being really clear, and the agents understand that. I think they see that.
It's the direction the industry is going. If you think about it, we're in this business a long time. I'm in this business now. This is my 39th year. And I can tell you this. When I first got into the business, this is to your point, because you mentioned this before, there was no video. There was no podcasting. There was no social media. All you had to do
You had a real estate book, didn't you?
We had a real estate book that was a fat book like the size of a telephone book, right? Which we don't even have that anymore. We had a microfiche machine.
Does anybody in your company not know what a telephone book is? I bet there's someone in the company. You need to do a poll.
If they're as old as me, they would know.
But Gary, I've seen
we have some agents that are older than me. I'm not the oldest.
You got some young people in here.
We got some young people. They probably wouldn't know. And they probably wouldn't know what a microfiche machine is. A microfiche machine used to be this big plastic box, right, with a light.
Is it sim in the ocean? Is it like...
It was the funkiest thing. It was like a big light box. And you took these plastic slides and you put them in.
Yeah.
And then it would show. It was like a projector.
That's the dinosaur version of ChatGPT.
Right. That's what we worked on. Yeah. Those were our tools. That was it. That's all we had.
And you still did.
That's all. Life was so easy back then. Then enter the internet. All right, everybody learned the internet. No problem. We caught on to that. Fast forward all the way to today, and we're looking at AI now. The point here is this: when we first came into the business, all we had to worry about was getting in front of buyers and sellers. The tools were so easy to use. Now, the part of getting in front of buyers and sellers hasn't changed. That's where the money is.
It's the same game, except now we have different tools to leverage.
And the tools that we have are complicated. You don't sit in front of your screen and go on a software program that people go to college to learn. I'm going to give you an example. The Adobe programs, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro. Who's going to sit there and teach themselves a whole, a program like that?
Well, now you don't have to, because now you got ChatGPT and you have Perplexity. You have.
We have a marketing team who knows how to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
right.
And
that's the ace in the hole, right?
You've made it easy. That's probably the punchline, right? Like you've made it easy for agents. I
tried
to win.
I tried to make it so easy that
it's the same.
The agents don't have to worry about that stuff. You know what? Listen. We all know you make your money in the business working with buyers and sellers, not sitting behind the screen trying to figure out programs that stress the hell out of you. And then at the end of the night, you're like, what am I doing this for? You wind up shutting your computer off. You got nothing done. And the next day, you're not going back to it. You're like, I'm not doing this crap. I'm done. That's it. And that's not what we want. That'll drive people out of the business. Honestly, people are going to check out. That's not what they want. I believe this is the biggest challenge in our industry right now. Agents that are introduced to some fantastic technologies and they're left alone to figure it out on their own. And it's not any form of encouragement at all working that way.
Yeah, they get confused, they get discouraged, and then they leave, and then they lose the opportunity, right? I think that's, and I could, as far as added value for on my side, I could say it's probably branding, it's culture. Our culture I think is fabulous. We've got people that will assist, not just admin and staff, but agents, and I've got an unfair advantage because the people that join my brokerage are usually I'd say probably 80% of my agents have come from out of the market. Either they've sold, for many years somewhere else, or they're coming from a different industry and they're just in a different position in life, right? What I tend to find is the people that begin, my people have already learned how to work with other people and be in community in a nice way and to give back. Some of them are already independently wealthy and just want to work.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So you've developed a really, really strong team yourself, and you're in Ocala, Florida, in the Villages.
Yeah.
And we were talking about your market share today, which is 25%, which is massive. 26%, right? Okay, but you also have, let's say you have 300 agents in total, approximately, that serve the Villages, and you have roughly half of that amount of agents.
Well, a little bit less, 130.
130. That's a very strong amount of you're actually dominating with agent base.
Well, here's what's interesting about that market. A lot of people don't realize that, and I don't think we've gotten into this too much because what we talk about typically is not about me; it's about you, right?
Right.
That's right when we're talking.
Because you're my coach.
That's correct. I'm not there to hey Frank,
I almost forgot that for a minute. He's my coach.
Let me tell you, Frank. This is what's going on in my day. You don't care, right?
No, I don't care. In fact, I want to hear it because you're always hearing about me.
That's right. So what's interesting, the Villages market is like no other market in the country or in the world. One, I talked to you about this before. Like every day is a Saturday because everybody's retired. So we can have an open house every single day. So it's an unfair advantage. Like open house is kind of a tool for you. For us, it is the tool. Like you have to have open house. Like that needs to be your major widget if you're going to win in real estate. So that's one. The other thing that's interesting is that the Villages is actually half controlled by the developer. So in most communities, actually pretty much 99.9% of the communities out there, you'll have a developer that's building new construction, and they usually participate, they cooperate with agents. Typical thing, you bring in a buyer, we'll pay you X% for bringing in that buyer, something. Some companies have gotten a little bit chintzy on it and say, okay, we're going to give you a lot less, whatever. Property of the Villages, the developer of the Villages, does not participate or cooperate at all. Zero. Will not pay us for any buyer that we bring to the table for new construction. That's one aspect. The other aspect is they have their own MLS system. It's called the VLS. Does not participate with MLS. We don't participate with each other. We've offered them money if they want to, we don't have a problem with that, but they will not participate. So there's a separate, completely different.
So they had their own sales team?
Their own sales team. They have twice as many people as we have. They sell probably about twice as much as what we do.
Oh, so this is what you're competing with.
This is competition. Our biggest competition is that. So that's a whole different dynamic that nowhere else in the country knows anything about. It doesn't exist except for the Villages, Florida.
So what would be an
advantage
advantage for a property owner, not new construction, but a property owner to do business with the manager, the management company association?
I mean, the obvious negative is that you're competing against new construction because their number one goal is to sell new construction. Mm-hmm. They have to sell new construction. That's the negative. The positive, at least the way they would spin it, would be that we have buyers. We advertise a lot. We have a lot of buyers. So the people that don't want to buy new construction, we'll bring them into your resale.
So they don't cooperate.
No.
Even if you had a buyer and they wouldn't cooperate with you?
No,
Is that legal? Can they do that?
they have. I'm assuming it's legal. They've done it for 30 years, 40 years.
How does NAR see that?
NAR doesn't care because they're not members of NAR.
Interesting.
Right. So they used to be 20-something years ago. When we first started our company, they used to be part of FAR and NAR and the board. And then, they decided that, ethically probably better that we're not.
Oh.
So that's how they get around
Well,
it.
they probably feel like they have a stronghold on it.
Yeah. However, look, when we first started, there was only 12 properties on the market in MLS. That's all we had to sell. And now there's 560 or 570 homes. So
At any given time.
on MLS,
On which MLS?
on our side, our MLS.
Okay.
There's
What about their side?
Their side probably has about 700. They have more. They have
So
more.
there's about 1,200 houses for sale in the villages.
Not counting new construction, which
Okay.
is add another 300.
That's about the size of Staten Island.
Yeah.
Staten Island has about 1,200 houses for sale right now, including new construction.
Yes.
Or at least new construction that's listed for sale. So, yeah, it's about the size of the village is a huge area.
It's massive.
I didn't realize how
don't-
big it
it's
is.
not a subdivision. I mean,
So what is it? 9 different communities within that make up the village?
Oh, my gosh. I forget how many communities have. There's probably 60, 70 different communities.
Oh, really? Why did
Massive.
I think it was only 9?
I don't know.
Is it 9 golf courses?
No, it's good.
Wow.
It's like 60.
I guess I had that all wrong.
Massive.
No, I know it's massive. I equate that to the size of Staten Island.
It's probably very similar because, we drive, if you think about it, I don't remember how many miles. It's probably like 30, 40 miles long.
Oh, wow. Well, Staten Island's only 13.
Okay, so it might be bigger.
Oh, it's way big. I didn't realize it was that big.
You can drive, I'll tell you this, you can drive on the highway. You can drive 70 miles an hour from the tip of the villages on the north and to go all the way around, because you're not just heading south, you have to go all the way around because it moves from west to east, the growth. Would probably take, it's a good 20 minutes going 70 miles an hour. Easily. 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And how far is it from Orlando?
Right now, the very tip, because it is moving in that direction. So if you can picture a map, it starts from the north and has actually started in the east, moved west, and then moved south over the years. And everything goes in like...
Would that still be considered Ocala?
No. This is completely... Ocala's like 30 minutes north. Moving south, and then now it's moving from the east to the from the west to the east towards Orlando along the Florida Turnpike. So when you go down the Florida Turnpike, people know this when you're heading from north to south, you go under a bridge and it says the villages. You can see it under Florida Turnpike. At the very tip where they're still building, it's about 25 minutes away from Orlando.
Wow.
And about 40 minutes from the airport.
Wow. It's a lot closer than they thought.
It's gotten well, and at one point it was 45 minutes to an hour completely. But now, I mean, it's just the growth. I mean, they're building, give you an idea, they're building, even now in a sluggish time, they're building about 200 to 250 per month.
Wow.
Per month.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Staten Island that moved down to Florida are considering the villages.
Of course.
For sure.
It's actually, look, it's not for everybody. But, think about this. When you're retired, you want something to do. Like, what am I going to do? You don't want to sit at home just watching TV.
Right.
So there's literally well over 2,000 clubs. They've got a club for everything. They've got the stewardess club. They've got the baton twirling club. They've got every state of the union has a club there. The New York club, you join it. Right? I'm sure there's a Staten Island club.
I'm sure you have pickleball clubs.
Pickleball, tennis,
golf clubs. Yeah. Wow.
Everything. Billiards. Yeah, all of it.
Well, you came up and visited me this time. Next time's on me. I'm going to come down and visit you.
Let's go.
I can't
Let's do
wait.
it. Let's do it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's go.
This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming up.
Yes.
sharing your wisdom with everybody. I think they all really got a lot out of it today. So I appreciate that, Glenn. Thank you so
No, you're
much.
super welcome.
I know you're a busy guy.
a lot
You
of
could,
fun.
if you weren't doing this, I know you'd be on your phone all day.
That's right. I'd be on a coaching call or something.
But yeah, no, this was wonderful. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing it again. My coach and my friend, Broker Glenn Stein. Thanks again.